This is the fourth of promotional video that I'm making for my book.
This one, I want to focus mainly on the issue of memoir and how it's portrayed during this book. Yesterday, I received a fantastic message from somebody called Sally, who tried to write a review of the book for Amazon, but Amazon wouldn't accept it because she'd fallen foul of one of their rules. She hadn't bought enough books from them or whatever it is. So instead, I'm going to read it out and to give it a little bit more publicity. This is what Sally had to say. Andy's book was both a surprise and delight in his engaging tales of mountaineering and climbing, from a raw teenager to his more grown-up expeditions around the globe, and then, in later years, his reacquaintance with the outdoors, tackling the tamer challenge of walking the 95 Peak District Ethels. As a non-climber, I was surprised how much I enjoyed the vivid descriptions, cliffhangers and humour as Andy leads the reader through his life's ups and downs, both in relationship with the mountains and personal ones too. As a fellow Ethelbagger, there was much to enjoy and identify with in Andy's year on the Peak District Ethels. What I hadn't expected to enjoy so much was such delightful tales of his mountaineering exploits, beautifully described and brought to life in this gem of a book. Well, it doesn't really get much better than that. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sally, for writing this review. One of the things that really pleased me about Sally's review, well, all of it did, but one of the things that she picked out that I was delighted by was her reference to the kind of arc of a memoir that's in this book. When I started to write it, that wasn't really a big consideration in my mind, but as I wrote, I realised that it was becoming more of a memoir, which she talks about the raw teenager, and then the kind of in middle life, the kind of global expeditions and climbing, and then in later life, getting intense enjoyment and satisfaction from walking these 95 local hills in the Peak District. And the book does cover a span of more than 50 years in its accounts. Another feature which hasn't been mentioned in that review, but which is important to me, is the distinction between the various solitary aspects that I've described. Did some big walks like the Tour de Mont Blanc, and quite a lot of the English Southwest Coast Path. I did those things on my own, and contrasting that with the times of intense enjoyment of company, walking with others, climbing obviously with others, and really enjoying the conversation and the fun and the laughter that came through those joint exploits. And in fact, friendship and camaraderie is an issue that recurs in the book because it was such an important bit, is still such an important bit of my outdoor activities. The people in the book, my close friends, some of them have been with me through life, really, through my adult life, and I've had such pleasure from their conversation and exploits that we've done together. Some are no longer with us. Old age and illness has claimed some of them, and there are some people who've actually died in the mountains, and that occurs in this book too. So there is a serious side to all this, as well as the fun. And in fact, I think the kind of intense enjoyment comes about partly by being contrasted with the reminder that this is life and it's all we've got, and it's about making the most of it. Another feature of climbing for me, although I've not referred to it explicitly in the book, has had to do with, if you like, social class in Britain. I started climbing with a clergyman, of all things. I grew up on a council estate, and we certainly didn't socially know anybody from that kind of a background. But I got to know Bob Shepton well, and he was a friend and mentor to me. And the interesting aspects of climbing, if you think about its history, you have the kind of aristocratic mountaineers who are climbing in the Alps and elsewhere, upper class people with enough time and money to do such things in the earlier days. You had the military with its very kind of orderly approach to things in mountains. The Everest expedition being led by a Hunt, a soldier, so very kind of organised and methodical. Then you had the kind of working class explosion, particularly after the Second World War, with people like Joe Brown and Don Williams, the kind of Manchester plumbers, working class injection, which really forced up the kind of standard of British rock climbing. And then when I came upon it, it was in the 1960s, and we had the kind of influx of the kind of hippies and the dropouts who didn't want 9-to-5 jobs, just wanted to live for climbing and have lives that were based around this kind of intense passion that they had. And well, I just think it's fantastic, really, and absurd, the kind of mixture of that social milieu, and I've enjoyed it very, very much. And it has seemed to us English, particularly, who are quite class obsessed, whatever we say, it has seemed a lovely place where those demarcations have just vanished, and I've enjoyed that aspect of climbing and being in the mountains very much. And then there's the issue of kind of health and well-being, if you like. There's a lot of talk about mental health nowadays, but when I started climbing, there wasn't any consideration really of those issues at all. In fact, it was quite a macho pastime, although there was always this kind of quasi-militaristic view about character building, and outdoor pursuits were seen as character building, and I kind of half went along with that and half found it absurd. But nowadays I think we've got a different and a better attitude towards finding purpose in one's life and finding a kind of sense of stability internally and psychologically. And well, being out in the mountains, it's beautiful scenery, usually dramatic, and it takes you places where you wouldn't physically get to otherwise. It's fresh air, it's exercise, particularly kind of demanding rock climbing or long walks and climbing hills and all the rest of it. Very, very good for physical fitness, balanced with that kind of mental attitude. So it's extremely good for you, and it's been extremely good for me. The book is now exactly 4 months old, and I've been very, very pleased by the response it's getting. I'm not going to make any money from this. Any profits that come from it is now starting to make a profit. Any profits I'm going to donate to the Council for the Protection of Rural England. It's selling mainly via word of mouth, and I'm very, very grateful to everybody who's recommended it and passed it on. Some people have been buying it as presents for other outdoor people that they know. Some people have written reviews, like Sally's beautiful review earlier that I read, and they've been posting them on Amazon and hopefully on Facebook and various social media. Please carry on doing that if you're inclined to do so. It's really, really helpful. I'm independently published, so I'm not going to be able to get copies into bookshops here, there and everywhere. Each one is a little expedition, but I'm enjoying that aspect of it. But thank you for your contributions. the reviews are smashing, and they've been such a pleasure to receive. And I hope people carry on enjoying the book and it spreads to a wider readership. Thank you very much.